Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we are about to talk about the top 25 of the college basketball scene right now. Who do I like going on a run till March Madness? Who are the biggest risers and fallers? And who am I doubting this season as a whole? How do I feel about Darren Peterson this season? How do I feel about Caleb Wilson? How do I feel about these guys that are supposed to be going to the draft but are injured or faking injuries? We gotta talk about it. Let's get into it. First things first, the top 25 just dropped. Obviously Arizona lost two games this week. They lost to Kansas on last Monday, and then they lost to Texas Tech 2 days ago. So we're obviously not expecting them to be number one. Michigan should be number one here, as Houston should be two. I think Zona honestly might be three or four. We're about to find out. Let's refresh. Number one is Michigan. Michigan is the new number one. They are 24-1 coming to this after beating UCLA by 30. And people were saying Michigan should have been one from the get-go when Arizona was on this long winning streak, but they ended up dropping one to Wisconsin earlier in the season. Houston's number two. Houston is 23-2. They are about 100 points back for being number one. It kind of does make sense because Michigan has been blowing teams out for the longest time. Houston has been too, but they get a test tonight as they'll play Iowa State. Duke's number three. Duke, again, has been very consistent. Only has two losses, and their two losses come to UNC and Texas Tech in both away games. They are still undefeated at home. They will be facing Syracuse later tonight. Arizona falls three after taking two back-to-back losses. And with this being said, they are the point difference from Houston to Duke, by the way, is five. It's 5 points. It was that close. Arizona falling three, and they're about 40 points back of Duke. It's okay. It's nothing too crazy. We kind of expect this to happen. The Arizona team is gonna have to bounce back completely to even have a shot get back up to number one, but there will be have losses will have to be taken for that to happen too. We will be having some great matchups coming this week in the sport. UConn's at number five. They'll move up one after the Georgetown win by four. They will be sitting at a 24-2 record as they go into this week. Iowa State's going to drop one. I know they did just blow at Kansas, but I forgot who else they played. And hold on. They played someone else, but I think they're pretty fine conference wise. Yeah. They got Houston tonight. We'll see how that goes. It's a 2 versus 6 tonight as we get into that one. Purdue jumps up six. A great, great week for Purdue. They went on to beat Nebraska and they went on to beat Iowa. So great props to them. This is great for them. Kansas, people didn't think Kansas were going to jump up, but they were able to beat the number one team at the time, Arizona. They take a loss to Iowa State by like 20 something, 22, but they're still able to jump up one spot at the number 8 spot. Nebraska jumps down two after losing to Purdue. They were able to beat Northwestern, but it still jumped down two. Illinois, after losing to Wisconsin, who had an amazing week this week, probably the best team this week in the college basketball world, will go down two also, even after beating Indiana by 20. We're now going to go below the top 10. Here we go. Gonzaga up one against after getting their win against Santa Clara. This thing at 25-2. Florida goes up two after beating Kentucky. Nothing too crazy there. They're probably the best team in the SEC still. Texas Tech will go up three after beating Arizona. Big win for them. Texas Tech is a scary team this season. Now, they do have 6 losses in the column. Get it. But they probably have some of the best wins this season. They have wins versus Duke, wins versus Arizona. It's a great, great resume builder for them. Teams will definitely be looking at them uh, whenever they play them. Virginia is up to 14. They have had a quiet, I would say they've had a quiet ACC run. They've only lost 3 games, though. They've only lost 3 games, which is kind of insane to think about. Um, they beat Ohio State by 4 in a little showdown they had earlier. They're sitting comfortably here at this spot, going up one. Now, Michigan State, UNC, both falling 5. UNC had a tough loss to Miami on Tuesday or Wednesday, and that definitely shot them in the foot. It doesn't help that Caleb Wilson is now pretty much out for 3 to 4 weeks with this hand injury. With the timeline looking at it, his game that he could come back for is the Duke game when they come to Duke. He wants to play in that, but will his agent, will the people around him let him play for it, or will he just play in when they get to the ACC conference tournament? That's what we're waiting on there. Michigan State is at 15, as you can see, is at 16. Michigan State, on the other hand, lost by 20 something to this Wisconsin team that has really had a great run over the past couple of weeks. Wisconsin has beat Michigan, Michigan State, and Illinois, three of the best wins this season. Pretty insane. No movement here for St. John's at 17, no movement for St. Louis at 18, and no movement for Vanderbilt at 19. They all won their games. It wasn't really too crazy on there. Arkansas's gonna move up one after the Auburn win by 13. They're sitting at a comfortable 19-6. Louisville is 21st, sitting going up three after being Baylor. Mikel Brown Jr. coming back has really helped this team. He is the X factor for his team. He will definitely be a lottery pick on that. Miami, Ohio, sitting number 22nd, 25-0. Can they do it? Can they go undefeated this whole entire time? Their schedule is pretty easy here on out, but when they get to the conference tournament, can they knock out Akron? Can they go all the way and go undefeated to March Madness? My take on Miami, Ohio is if they could lose up to 2 games. I feel like they could lose up to 2 games is my coach. So yeah, BYU falls one. It's a rough scene for BYU right now. I was really big on the BYU team the first couple of weeks, and I know I haven't talked about the season at all on the channel, but I was really huge on BYU going into this with the bands. I think they're the best big three in the country going into preseason. We had DeBanza, we had Richie Saunders, and Robert Wright. Richie Saunders out for the season with an ACL injury. That's going to do it for him. That's going to be the end of his college career probably, which sucks because I love Richie Saunders, but I don't think this team can make a run anymore. I think their run basically got cooked. Is what I'm trying to say here. At the 24th spot, it is the Wisconsin Badgers. After getting a bunch of good wins, they finally get to end up on the AP poll with a 18-7 record. And finally, welcome back, the Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide are now back being ranked. Last week they weren't. They were sitting at 26, and Kentucky was ranked over them. I did not agree with the Kentucky ranking. I personally think Alabama should have been above them. Sitting at the bottom right here, we have Clemson, Utah State, Tennessee, Nova, Kentucky, Miami, St. Mary's, and VCU. They are all sitting at the bottom with some type of. All right, so those were the other teams that got some votes. How I feel about this? It's a fine AP poll. I think this is what we kind of expected all around. These teams have been great all season. Kentucky and Tennessee have been floating in and out of this top 25. Clemson just had a really rough week, and they had 2 back-to-back losses. Of course, they'll fall out of there. Villanova has not been ranked yet this season. They just in the Big East, it's just so hard to get good wins. They have a good test this week when they play UConn. Maybe a win right there would be able to skyrocket them in the top 25. Everyone else is probably not going to get on here unless there's a major fall. So let's talk about each conference as a whole, to be honest, and what they've been kind of doing for me this season. So the ACC has just not been close. It's unfortunate. Duke sitting at the top. It's way better than last year, though. I think Duke was blowing everyone out the water last year. They're sitting at confident 12-1, with their only loss coming to UNC. It's just kind of interesting to think about when you go into. You probably go look at it last year, how the ACC was blowing everyone out the water. They went 19-1 in their conference, and I guess if in retrospect, it seemed close. Louisville was 18-2, so was Clemson, but it just never seemed kind of close. After that, the teams were 13-7. Like, it was bad. Honestly, it seems a little more closer this year, and they could probably get some teams in the tournament. Like, I think Duke's going to be a lock easily. Virginia's a lock easily. Clemson's a lock easily. They're locks. UNC will get it no matter what. I feel like even with Caleb Wilson being injured, NC State should find a way in there. And Miami, who's sitting at 9-3 in the conference, I think are going to find a way to get in here. Same for Louisville. Louisville's in there for sure. Teams are fighting on that bubbles like SMU, VT. Everyone else, I think, just gotta start playing. Same for Cal. Cal can get in there. They're 18-8. Just got they just got to keep fighting and get in there for sure. So yeah, that's how I feel about the ACC right now. They'll get some bits, I think, for sure. It's just not gonna be as many as you'd think. Speaking of not a lot of bigs, the Big East. Here's only with this guy the Big East right now. Four teams can get in. Three are probably going to get in. It's going to be UConn, St. John's, Villanova. Seton Hall is fighting for their life every week to get in. Their conference record being 8-7 will kill them. They're sitting outside the bubble. I feel like that if they're gonna want to get in, they're gonna have to like win out. They cannot lose so many more games because every week it seems like they're fighting for their life in conference play. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, beat Providence, then they lost to Villanova, and then they won three straight, and then they lost four straight. And then they've been slowly going win win, loss loss, win win. They got DePaul in 2 days. This close out the final five games is what I'm saying. Even if you could pick up a win versus UConn St. John's, if you can, at least go in 3-2. At least they beat DePaul, Georgetown, Xavier. Give some hope because I would love to see the Seton Hall team get in. It's just looking pretty off for them. They seem like they're in the bubble and they're gonna be out. Big 12, the best conference in the nation this year. If I went to go look at the teams, I'm like, okay, if I was talking about the team, like the conference as a whole, I would take teams from the Big 12. I would go for Houston. I would go for Arizona. I would go for Kansas. I would go for Iowa State, Texas Tech. Even the BYU I was talking bad about earlier that they can go on a run. Still take them. I think there's 6 teams in here. Now I think there's 5, but I think there's 5 teams in here that can win the national championship. I think there's just 5 teams in there that can win the whole thing this season. And even with Kansas having these problems with Darren Pearson, just I think they could easily still do it. They still could play great with Flory Badunga, play great with Melvin Council, play great with Trey White, play great with Bryson Tiller, even Cole Rosario. I love Cole Rosario. They're just playing great as a team, no matter what Darren's doing on that given night. I think hot take right now. I think Houston is the team I have it winning it all right now. Not Michigan. I think Houston's just such a consistent team overall. I was big on Houston last year. I want them to do it one of these years. I hope it's this year for sure. We gotta wait and find out. Big Ten. The Big Ten is a great conference just for like teams that can shock you, like the Wisconsin Badgers did this week. As they're my favorite team right now. Going into this being one of those shock teams this season, they're ranked 24th. Michigan, Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, Michigan State, UCLA is probably gonna get in there too. The teams that were looking on the outside, Iowa, I think they'll get in. Ohio State is the most confusing team this season. I want to talk about their resume. If I went to go look at their resume, it's rough. It's rough is my thing. They are 0-8 in quad one games. They had a quad one win over Northwestern, but it's now slowly turned into a quad two win since they're just not as good anymore. So they're 5-1 quad two games, and then they're undefeated in the rest. But they have not won one quad one game to save their lives. I think they'll get it because of their strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule is one of the hardest in the country. So they have the 39th hardest schedule in the country, and they have to face teams that are just always so tricky to play. But they don't have one win in that category through this whole time. And it doesn't help them any better that tomorrow they'll be going against the Wisconsin Badgers, probably the hottest team in the country. So not looking good for them to be honest, but I hope they can find the right side of the belt. And then we have Indiana, which they are the equivalent of mediocrity. Sorry to say it, they're the easy non-con schedule, and they were able to beat Purdue in a big rivalry game. But it's just I don't know if they're gonna get in. If they don't get in, I don't know. I don't think so. Still, I kind of was on a big decision that they weren't getting in, but with how Lamar Wilkinson's playing and Tucker DeVries is playing, I want them to get in. But I don't know. The Trojans also. I thought the Trojans would get over the Hoosiers. I would just say that. Everyone else is cut off after that point. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Rutgers, Maryland, Oregon, Northwestern, Penn State are just not getting in. Then we have the SEC. Uh, Me and my friend had argued at one point talking about the SEC is not going to get more than. I said 10 was the cutoff. 10 bids. 10 bids was the cutoff. On the recent brachiology, right now, they're looking to have 11. And beforehand, we had a possibility at 12 bids. The 12 bids was an actual realistic scenario for the SEC, and it's kind of insane to think about that they might able to get another 10 teams in there, another double digit year for the SEC. And I say, oh, SEC is not the best, but maybe they are because they're able to get this many teams every year. If it is, the teams are gonna Florida for sure, Vandy, Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky keep floating at the top 25, so they'll both get in there. Auburn, they should get in there. Do I like Auburn getting in there? No. I'm a big Auburn fan. 14-11 on the season though, and they have four big wins this year, but I don't know. It's kind of rough to go through it and think about it. When they have just never been really that many good teams this season, and they've lost the last four. They dropped the last four games to Tennessee, Bama, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas, and they'll be able to play Mississippi State this Wednesday to redeem themselves. But it's just to think about: should they get in? It's kind of a hard thought, but we'll see about it. And then after that, we have Texas. Looks like they're gonna get in comfortably now. Georgia has been on the biggest downfall this season. They've dropped out of their last six. They've dropped the last five. I mean, they dropped five. The only one they have is against LSU. They dropped the one against Oklahoma earlier in the season. By the way, Oklahoma team that is starting to make a push to get in. It's kind of interesting. They're not eliminated yet. They have six more games left. If they could go on a road against Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, they could find themselves right back in with some decent wins. It's just they at one point they straight up lost nine straight, and now they've won two straight against two pretty great teams. I don't know. It's actually pretty interesting. Like Oklahoma's making a push to get in. Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma are teams that could get in, and they're all right next to each other. I don't agree with LSU even, but they have a weird case to get in if you go back to talk about that SMU one from earlier this year. And if they could rack up a couple more too, it could become really interesting on who gets into the SEC. But South Carolina's not getting in, Mississippi State's not getting in, Oklahoma. Oh, Ole Miss isn't getting in. And you have A&M, who was at the top of the conference, and like I said, just started falling apart like they lost their last four. They got Ole Miss on Wednesday, so we'll see. But the SEC is undeniably one of the best conferences in basketball. If you look like how many bids are going to be, if I'm taking someone to win the whole thing, though, I would take it for the Big 12. From depth perspective, Big 10. Everything has something really good to say. It's just really interesting to look at. Right, so we're gonna talk about the NBA draft right now. As half of the teams in the NBA are more interested in what's going on in college right now anyway. So we may as well talk about it. First things first, if you're unaware with what's going on like the NBA wise, like with the draft picks, um if the Pacers with their pick right now, they're gambling with their lottery pick. If it could go to the Clippers if it falls out the top four. So it has to, the Pacers. If you see the Pacers play anytime this season, they will be trying to lose because they don't want to drop out the top four and then lose their pick. Sixers get a first rounder, but they give up McCain. If you've seen that, they get a first rounder though, so maybe it is worth it. If you're wondering where the pick is looking to go, it's looking to go at number 18. If we are if we're looking at it, which is perfect for them. I think that's actually a great spot for them. If they could draft someone that's like a steal. There's steals all over this draft class. Mavs have a late first round pick because of the Anthony Davis trade. Yes, they got something for Anthony Davis, but not Luca. Doesn't make any sense. And Timberwolves are going to swap picks with the Pistons. Is what's going on here. So me, I'm going to talk about. I have been a big defender on Darren Pearson this whole season. The whole season, Darren Pearson, Darren Pearson, Darren Pearson. I tell all my friends, just watch Darren Pearson play. He's been great out of high school, great in college. When he plays, Burrows might have played 12 games, and how many of them has he actually played the full game? Is he always sick because of cramps, or he has the flu, or his legs hurting, or he's a loser. Like there's always something up with this guy. Whenever he plays, he might be one of the most like amazing shooting guards I've ever seen play. But when he doesn't play, it's like, bro, it just so annoying. Um, Now I'm gonna be a hater. I don't think Cam Boozer is on the same level as Debanza or Derek Pearson. Honestly, if I'm the NBA GMs right now, I'm looking at Debanza because Darren Peterson is just we don't want he's just scared ready to play like he's in the NBA. So every game out. You would hope that you could get this fixed, which you probably are able to get his little cramps fixed up. It's fine. But I would just love to see someone like a Debanza who drops almost 30, 40. He's top three D1 leader in scoring for a reason. He can score wherever he is on the floor. He can play defense. The issue is with the Debanza turnovers. He turnovers the ball way too much. And we saw in the Kansas game, scared. He played very scared against Darren Pearson. That's the only reason I think I would take Pearson over him, but I love Debanza. Whoever the Panza coach, he's gonna be great. And if Cam Boozer, I think he can go wherever he can and be great too. He's just overshadowed by Peterson or Debanza, and no one wants to take Cam Boozer one. I don't think I've ever heard him. I think we're kind of at the point where Peterson or Debanza one, but Boozer could come out the class and be probably one of the best guys too. That's what we're saying. Now, after that gets interesting because there's so many great guys in the class. You have Caleb Wilson, who's probably gonna go number four. Like he has a bit of the conversation of going one, two, three, but he's definitely gonna go like 4 or 5. And you have Kingston Flemings, who I think honestly should be talked about more going forward. They should talk about it. They're just all so good. The top five is insane, and then you have guys that we talk about every day. Namely, Keaton Wagler. The injury to Kylan Boswell was the best thing that ever happened to his career. We did not see this guy, someone that was top outside the top 200 in his class, go into college basketball and then be amazing because of this injury. Dropping four, like you don't just go into Mackey Arena and drop 40 like that. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and he's that good. He's that amazing. Just amazing to see that. Darius Acuff, would love to see Darius Acuff go somewhere good. I love his game at Arkansas. Braden Mullins, who didn't play the start of the year for UConn, but has been pretty decent. The issues with like UConn players for me is that they don't play good talent. They don't play anyone that good. So it's like they're always gonna look good. But we have people like David Clingan who came out of UConn, Stephon Castle came out of UConn, and they've been great in the league. So I can't diss UConn players for playing no competition because they always can win. Nate Ament, I've not been a big Nate Ament guy, but he's been having some great games recently. I will give him his credit. I'm not a Tennessee person. That's probably why. Something I want to say, LeBaron Filion, love him. I am a big LeBaron guy. I know I talk about him sometimes. Not the biggest fan of him. It seems like he really will either really score or he'll shoot 3 for 14 from the field. But he's like, I compare him to like a bigger like Tyrese Maxey kind of. He's like 6'3", not really that much bigger, but he's just a great athlete. He reminds me of Tyrese Maxey's game a lot. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna go down the list of people that could definitely get drafted easily. You got Stenbach from Washington. He's been playing great. Koa Pete. Remember, Koa Pete had that first great game against Florida to start the season. Mikel Brown Jr., who was talking about earlier, has been dropping some 40 point games some nights. Looks like one of the best players on the floor. Braden Burries has been great. We have Henry Vassar, looks great. Yaxel Lindenberg, the transfer from UAB, getting to Michigan, he's one of the best all around players in the league for sure. Um, we even talk about him too much. The guy from Baylor, I forget his name, not Cameron Carr, the other one that's been really good this year. Too bad Baylor's been so bad this season, but they have two guys that could definitely get drafted too. Jane Quintance has been good, even though he hasn't played any games barely. Uh, I'm really big on a lot of people. You know, Thomas Ho has been really good. We have Bennett Sturts. There's a lot of guys I feel like that could just uh do a lot this season. It's just the big question is, will Caleb Wilson come back for another year in the sport, or will he just decide to I think, go one and done, which I think he should, and just check out for the year, which I think is what he will probably end up doing. But he also does want to play. We're about to get into some predictions. All right. We're gonna predict some of the top 25 games for this week. We're gonna go through for the whole week here. So we're gonna start on Monday, and then we're gonna go through and see how many of them I get right. We're gonna do like just 20 games or something and see how this goes. First things first, 7 o'clock ESPN, Syracuse at number 3 Duke. They're gonna be playing at Cameron Indoor at 7 o'clock. Um, the line's 19.5. I'm not gonna go for the line here. I'm just gonna go Duke. I'm gonna go Duke. I got my Syracuse shirt on, love Keon in them, but I'm gonna go Cam Boozer in them. I don't think this one's gonna be even close. No hate to Syracuse, but big on Duke. Big on Duke. Houston, number 2, Houston at number 6, Iowa State. This one will be a good one. Iowa State's favorite tonight. Give me Houston. I think Houston. This will be a very good defensive game. If you're looking for a great defensive game, tune in tonight to this one. This one's gonna be amazing to watch for the defense. I think Kingston Flemings and his team will come in there and shock the scene. They are not favored, but I think they should be. So I'm just trying to say. Tuesday, we got some games going on. Obviously, number 1, Michigan going to play at number 6, Purdue. Yaxel Lenneberg has a video of him cursing out Purdue. We're going to go into Purdue, and we're going to whip their butt. It's hard to go into Mackey and win. I want to see how this one goes. I will take Michigan, but don't surprise me if Purdue wins. That's what I'm saying. Florida will kill South Carolina on Tuesday. Miami, Ohio's going to play UMass to get their 26th win. I think they will get it. It's probably their last toughest matchup of the season before they get to the end of it. Louisville SMU will be really good to see on Tuesday night. Give me Louisville, though, as I think they should be able to get that one going. UNC, NC State, rivalry game. You never can look past these rivalry games for them being close. Give me UNC, but keep it close, to be honest. UCLA, Michigan State. Give me Michigan State. Wisconsin, Ohio State. Give me Wisconsin. Uh, and Nebraska, Iowa. It's gonna be pretty nice. I'm gonna go with Nebraska there though. And Texas Tech will beat Arizona State. On Wednesday, we got St. John's playing Marquette. St. John's for sure. Marquette has had the biggest fall off this season so far out of any of these power conference teams. They are horrible. Um, Arkansas, Alabama, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. We're pretty excited for this one. I'm gonna go with Acuff in them though. I don't know about Bama. This Bama team though has been great. I just think this team stopping the 3 ball is amazing. Arkansas's defensive coach Cal has got that on locks. I think. Wake Forest, Clemson, UConn, Creighton, UConn, Vandy, Missouri, Vandy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Virginia, BYU Zona again. Earlier this we had a couple weeks ago. It was a 3-point game. They're going to Arizona this time. Now I'm gonna give it to Arizona. And Kansas should be Oklahoma State. And then that's pretty much simple for Friday. No top matchups on Thursday though. Then we go to Friday's matchup. And Saturday, the big games. Here we go. I'm not gonna go all chalk here. St. John's should beat Creighton. Villanova, UConn. Something in my bones will say Villanova. I'm gonna take UConn though. This one last time that went into overtime. So expected to be close. Expected to be close. And they're gonna be at Xfinity Mobile Arena for this one. Florida will be Ole Miss. Clemson's gonna be Florida State. UNC will beat Syracuse. It will be close though, because I think them playing at Syracuse will make a difference. I don't think it's gonna be all that great. Kansas beat Cincinnati. I think Tennessee will beat Vanderbilt. Honestly, I something about Tennessee. I think this season I'm not a Tennessee fan. Nate Ament though has been warming up. Miami has been on the run lately too. I think they can beat Virginia here on Saturday. Penn State will get crushed by Nebraska. Louisville will crush Georgia Tech. Kansas State, who fired their head coach recently, will get crushed by Texas Tech. Obviously, the big game, number 1 area. No, not number 1 anymore. They're like number. Houston's number 2, and then Arizona's like number 4. So number 2, number 4 at 3 o'clock at Houston. Big game up and coming for both teams this week. I'm going to take Houston. Hear me out. Houston should win. This would be amazing to watch. Houston will win by like 2 or 3, and Arizona will be leader for a long time. I think Houston will come and win at the end. Michigan, Duke at 6:30. Give me Michigan. I'm not a big fan of Duke this season, to be honest. I know they have some pretty decent wins across the sport. They had that Kansas win. They had that Michigan State win. They had that Arkansas win. I just don't think they'll be able to beat Michigan. Arkansas will beat Missouri. Gonzaga's going to beat Pacific, and BYU is going to lose to Iowa State. Simple as that. Those are all my predictions for this week. If you had a great time, press the like button and subscribe for more content. I will see you guys later.